There were more secluded or private parts to Mardi Gras that I knew very little about. I knew the Mardi Gras Indians existed amongst the black community of New Orleans, but had no idea why they celebrated the way they did. I just thought it was them doing their thing in their own unique style, as everybody seems to do on Mardi Gras Day.
I knew of the Mardi Gras Indians growing up. I'd seen the pictures, and I'd seen some of the costumes, and it wasn't until I read the book 9 Lives that I understood the history of the Mardi Gras Indians and how fascinating, and how Tootie Montana, who was one of the head Indians, changed it from the culture of the fighting to a culture of beauty, and they would compete and fight through the beauty of their costumes, and whoever had the most beautiful costume would win.
Nowadays, I'm glad to say they knock them dead with needle and thread. They outsew each other. They see who's the prettiest, not who's the meanest.
One of the earliest carnivals I remember, I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, and starting to see Indians coming down the street, and my father just grabbing us kids by the hands and like getting off the street and bringing us in the house, because they actually did fight with hatchets and knives, and it got rough, and he knew it was coming, but I just wanted to see these feathers. I wanted to see these great costumes.
These were rival groups coming from rival neighborhoods and wards, and when they would come upon each other on the street, sometimes violence would break out.
It's a violent city. It's a violent country. That being said, it got to the point now that it's all about the beauty and how much sewing you've done when one chief meets another, to one tribe meeting another tribe. That's what it's about.
By about the 1880s, and definitely into the 1890s, there were groups of African American men who chose to put together costumes for themselves that emulated Native American traditional garb. The belief is that some of these men were actually honoring the relationships that Native Americans had with runaway slaves before emancipation in the 1860s, because a lot of runaway slaves did find sanctuary in Native American enclaves throughout the South.
They would run to the Indians, otherwise known as the indigenous people of southeast Louisiana, who were called Indians, and they would mask themselves to fit into that tribe that they were now a part of.
And then the first instance of masking Indian was to look like an Indian in case somebody came to find this escaped slave. So masking Indians was a matter of survival, during these colonial times. During the post-Reconstruction era, it was a form of rebellion.
Mardi Gras Indians do pay homage to that, and they do immortalize those relationships through their beadwork.
You have to spend your own money and do your own work and make it happen.
And once you become the big chief, is that for life?
Yeah, pretty much. Everybody gonna call you chief.
It was an art to what they did, It was mesmerizing. See who make the best costume, the prettiest, did the most beadwork.
As far as the Mardi Gras Indians are concerned, they still meet on Claiborne Avenue. You can even see murals that are painted on parts of the interstate.
There were many tribes. The Wild Magnolias, the Ninth Ward Hunters, the Golden Eagles, many, many different tribes. The Choctaw Hunters.
Tribes in the 7th Ward, and you get tribe from the 9th Ward, tribe from uptown, tribe from Greytown, front of town, back of town, big of town, the tribes coming from all over.
And these were all like hard-working guys. They were guys like mailmen and longshoremen, workers. They were blue-collar guys that had jobs and supported their families. They took pride in knowing that they were going to sew and prepare an Indian costume to walk out that front door Mardi Gras morning. That was their day.
Guys who are putting all their money into making this beautiful beadwork costume and buying plumes and sequins and spending hours and hours and hours, but they have to do it. They have to make suits for themselves and their children and their tribes. It's a sacrifice, something that if they don't do it, they will feel like they've let their whole heritage go, let their ancestors down.
It's like a piece of art that they're actually wearing.
And all year they're sewing these suits, you know. So that day, when they come Mardi Gras, the big chief, and it's, you know, it's more than just somebody putting on a costume to them.
It's regalia. It's part of who he is.
You know, that's all my suits. I try to make it so it's for more or less for teach the kids.
It's a sacrifice on hours and it's a sacrifice on your pocket. I done went to a guy's house and they had sitting down sewing Indian suits with a candlelight. The electric had turned off. They went and bought beads instead of pay the bill on the rail because he wanted to be there.
Most of the people who come up in the Mardi Gras Indian tradition either have had it in their family for more than one generation or they grew up closely associated within the neighborhood.
There's nothing more magical to me than seeing one gang meet another gang, and it's a dance. Everybody's got their own dance, and that could last an hour.
Cause I'm that little queen. I'm that one they talking about.
It's all the way it should be, and it's been going on like that long as I can remember.
And the Mardi Gras Indians are certainly holding that.